might be a little bit of a hot take, but OSCP versus that Hack the Box cert, I think Hack the Box is going to give them a run for their money.
Hey everyone, welcome to a new Cybersecurity Web podcast. I'm David, your host as always, and today we have here with us Jake. Welcome, Jake. It's a pleasure to have you here for the second time.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be back. It was good to be back after the audio fell apart there. We had such a good conversation going. We had like a good hour and a half going, and then just we crashed.
Yeah, that was a sad moment. When I stopped the recording, I was like, well, that was amazing. And then I had another episodes to edit and clips to edit, and I was like, well, in 1 or 2 weeks, I'm going to edit this episode. It's going to be amazing. And then I was like listening to the video file, and the audio got absolutely wrecked. And I was devastated, man. I really was, because it was such a nice conversation. But yeah, here we are again, and thank you so much for being here. I'm so sorry that happened, man.
It's all good.
But yeah, now just to make sure we are all at the same page, I'm not sure that everyone already knows you, what you do, who you are. So can you just briefly just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, again, what you do, just so we all get the chance to know a bit more about what you do and who you are.
Yeah. So my name is Jake. I am a web application penetration tester. A security consultant. I work for a company called NetSpy here in the States. And basically, I kind of have a variety of roles, I guess. I've been working a little bit on some like internal content creation things, some development things. But the majority of my time is spent in the web app pen testing space. So that is a lot of my background. However, in my free time, I also make videos over on YouTube that is security content related. So I do things like hack the box walkthroughs, kind of like some fundamental paths on try hack me, and then just general web app stuff too. So that eats up a good majority of my time, and I guess that's just a little blurb about myself.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're closing in on 4,000 subscribers, right?
Yeah, close. I'm close. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll leave you your channel's link in the description. So everyone who's watching, please go subscribe to Jake. He's amazing. He's doing a lot of good content in the cybersecurity field. So make sure you check that out. Now, the first thing that I wanted to ask you after you introduce yourself is about your background, because that's something that I'm always very interested in knowing. And you're like the second penetration tester that I'm kind of interviewing in a row. And I'm always so amazed to discover like these crazy stories that people go through before they actually go into pen testing. I don't know if you saw the previous episode, but like Ryan has a bachelor's degree in journaling. So yeah, not even in IT. So the thing that I wanted to ask you about specifically is how did you get into cybersecurity? Was that like a direct thing? Did you just study like computer science and went straight into cybersecurity penetration tester thing, or did you like deviate from the path and went to some other directions and then came back? What happened?
Yeah, so I have like a half traditional route into cyber, and also like super not traditional at the same time. So I did do the whole college thing, and I do have a computer science degree, but there's like I like to put an asterisk next to it, because I spent the first 3 years of my bachelor's degree studying biology, and I was convinced I wanted to do something like related to medicine. And I actually went as far as getting my EMT license. So I was an EMT for 2 years. I did that at like a little volunteer thing at school, and then I realized I was like, I actually don't like this at all. So I had I always had like an interest in tech, so I was like, I'll check it out. I went and talked to like some department chairs at my university, and we had this. They're like clubs. I'm sure if people are listening that are in college, maybe your school has one that's called ACM. It's like a computer science club,
Mhm.
basically. And some older student was doing a demonstration. It just happened to be related to cyber that night. And they were doing this thing with like a toy robot where they were like basically like live intercepting these commands you could send this like remote controlled robot from a phone
Uh-huh.
and like basically overwrite the requests and like make it go wherever you want it to go instead of where the controller sent it. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. I was like, I want to learn how to do that. So I kind of fell in love with cyber from that point forward. But I started out on the blue side of things for
Okay.
about a year and a half. So I didn't get right into red teaming, but I did fall in love with cyber that night when I saw somebody hack a robot
That's
or a
amazing.
toy robot.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that what you just said, that you started off with more of like a blue team ish job, or more of like a blue team interest. Or can you please describe what is a blue team? What do you mean? You started out with the blue team.
Yeah, so commonly in cyber, there's things that's usually just split generally
Yeah.
as bled or blue team, red team. Blue team being like defensive operations, so things like monitoring alerts and
Yeah.
like a SOC or like a security operations center, and then red being offensive operations, things like penetration tests, adversarial simulation, so on and so forth. So specifically on the blue side of things, I was doing a little bit of everything. I was kind of doing some monitoring of alerts. I was doing a little bit of like code review, things like that.
Okay.
So I loved that, but it did not scratch my itch to break things.
Exactly.
So I ended up moving.
So how was like that transition from the blue team, as you beautifully explained, from the blue team to the red team side of things, to the offensive side of cybersecurity? What made you like decide to make that transition? Did you get like an opportunity? Did you saw something that got your interests? What happened there?
Yeah, so I loved my job at working blue like blue team operations. It was an awesome job. I think it's a fantastic route for the people that want to go there. I think it's actually super important that people understand that cyber isn't just pen testing. There's
Exactly.
a lot of really cool things you can do, and I actually still think it's super cool to like think back on working blue team operations for a company and seeing, you get to see like real live attacks. Like it's crazy. There's actually people out there that are actively attacking organizations on a daily basis. So you get to see stuff like that. And it was very cool. I just eventually got the itch to do the attacking, and I wanted to learn how to do it because it's definitely a different skill set. Like very experienced blue teamers have an entirely different skill set than I do, and it's not like they're generally translatable skills, but some of the real like niche things don't translate super well between the two. So I wanted to know how to do the attacking and perform things like that. And I basically got an opportunity that ended up coming through Twitter,
Oh
of all
wow.
things. It was just a mutual follower. I was like, I just tweeted out to my like following. I was like, I'm kind of thinking about moving to red team. Somebody was like, we have this program where we take people in that don't necessarily have any experience at all. And they train you up and you get to go straight through that program to become a security consultant. So I applied for it and I went through the program, and the rest is history. So
Yeah.
funny story of getting a job through Twitter, but I definitely think I got lucky for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. When I talked to Lily and she told me this story about how she got her first opportunity as a penetration tester, well, she did her job interview at DEF CON, which made me
Oh,
realize,
really?
yeah, it was so like, could you do that? Can you do that?
Yeah, I
uh,
guess so.
yeah, so sometimes you just have to put yourself out there and things really happen. It's so amazing to see. Now, you just mentioned that you wanted to figure it out or to learn how to make that happen, how to attack a target, how to hack into things, and how to leverage those resources and those, um, how do you say, um, not knowledge, but like those techniques and those things that you learn in order to contribute to a company as a consultant, to provide them with advice, with mitigation solutions, and to help them to get a better security posture. Now, you went through that program, which is amazing, but did you use like any other resources? You know that like a lot of people, when they heard about cybersecurity and they immediately think about hacking, right?
Yeah.
And some of the times
Yeah.
they might come to you and just ask you, well, what should I do? What should I use? Like, should I use Hack the Box? Should I use Try Hack Me? Should I use like the Web Security Academy from Portswigger, which I know you're a big fan of? So
Yeah.
what I want to ask you is, what would be like your recommendations for someone that wants to start to learn how to do the ethical hacking stuff?
Yeah, I have this conversation very often,
Yeah.
actually, and I think it's important to, when somebody comes with that question, I always ask them like what they envision hacking is, because a lot of people just think it's, like, you type away at the keyboard and then you hack somebody, but there's so many subspecialties in the pen testing field. Like, I primarily focus on web applications. There's people that only focus on network pen testing, and there's a lot of different resources specifically for those. When it comes to like web application hacking, so what I do,
Mhm.
um, I commonly like to refer people to Portswigger's labs. I just think those comprehensively give you the best foundation for actually attacking like real world applications. I think that Hack the Box has started to get there with like their Academy platform. They have things like they have like a bug bounty certification or something along those
Mhm.
lines, which covers most of those topics now, and definitely has a lot of like tooling knowledge and things like that. I do think Hack the Box still, for like very beginner content, has a little bit of a barrier to entry. When it comes to like, clean slate people, just, let's
Mhm.
say, like, the Ryan, who said he had a background in journalism,
Yeah.
people like that don't have a computer science background, that can't kind of fit the puzzle pieces together because they're just learning straight from the content that's on the page. I think try Hack Me rather has the best like full just beginner friendly path to take people from that point, and then like kind of specialize in what they want to specialize. But for people with a little bit of experience, I still think Hack the Box gives probably the most specialized
Mhm.
education there for sure, and their content is fantastic on the front that it's like very very recent. Like, it's definitely the most recent of the three. Hortzwigger is a little arguable because they keep their stuff pretty up to date, but
Mhm.
Hack the Box has some pretty impressive, techniques and tips that are very recent, with bug bounty reports that are released all the time. So you can't really go wrong with any of the three, quite honestly.
Yeah, I totally agree. But it's so crazy you say that, because I remember when I started, and you might relate to that. I remember when I started to see those IPSec Hack the Box walkthrough videos, and I was like, what the heck is this guy doing? He's like running these weird commands on a black screen, and like stuff is happening, and I don't understand what is happening. And it was so
Yeah.
crazy. But now you have these academies for beginners, you have these certifications, you have all of this content, and most of it is free, which is amazing. Like the Port Swigger thing, the Web Security Academy, all of that is free. The labs are free, so that's so amazing. And now that TryHackMe is doing certifications as well, targeting beginners, which is even more interesting. I'm really curious, and I think we talked about this the previous time. I'm really curious to see what TryHackMe is going to do about that. I really think that they must have something under their sleeves for the up and coming future, like for 2023.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they didn't, quite honestly. I think Hack the Box's certifications. I'm doing the one right now on the Academy platform, and the content is fantastic. Like, it holds true to the same like comment that I had just made, that it's super up to date.
Yeah.
I think there's like some things that they're gonna end up ironing out, but that's kind of to be expected when it's kind of like its beta stage or whatever. Yeah, they have some things to iron out with it, but the actual content there is very, very impressive, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I didn't like delve deep into the things that they are doing there on the Academy, but from the feedback that I'm getting from the community and seeing everything that they are posting, I mean, that really looks good. That really looks good.
Yeah, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, but quite honestly, I think they're supposed to be equal, but the OSCP versus that Hack the Box cert, I think Hack the Box is going to give them a run for their money. It's it's pretty good. I not gonna lie, and it's like, I don't know, it's probably like a tenth of the price. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's a hot take, but if those couple minor lab issues get ironed out, they're gonna have a very serious contender for a very strong cert in the industry.
Yeah, man, you're making me want to do that as well. Because my OSCP journey, I had to take a step back and put it on hold for a bit, because I had like this entire thing. I moved to another country. I got a new job offer, so a lot of things are changing. So there's just no chance that I'm going to be studying like 3 hours a day and doing YouTube at the same time and finishing my master's degree. It's just too much. So I put it on hold. But yeah, I got access to the materials. I did a bunch of labs. And now that you say that, I'm pretty curious to take a look into this new Hack the Box modules for the what is called the certification, the penetration tester. What?
It's like the certified penetration testing specialist, I want to say.
Yeah.
It's like the CPTS.
Exactly.
Could be wrong.
I think it's something like that, around those lines.
It's close enough.
Exactly. Let me ask you another thing. What would be for you, or what's like a typical day for you working as a penetration tester? Is it too repetitive? Is it very dynamic? Do you change projects like very frequently? Can you describe that a little bit for us?
Yeah, so it definitely depends. And I think this is a huge benefit of working in consulting, because you can work penetration testing like internally for a company. I know plenty of people that do. I think the consultancy piece of it is nice sometimes, that you do get to change things up. So you're working on different infrastructure, you're working on different tech stacks all the time. You get to see how different people set different things up, just different security architectures in general, which is very, very cool. But I did spend a very large portion of like the last year-ish too, working as like a dedicated consultant for one company. So you also get very familiar with like one company's tech stack. So I think that's definitely a big piece of like the consulting piece of what I do, that I like, that I get to change things up. But in terms of like a day-to-day kind of structure, it really is kind of like context dependent on what I'm working on, because we'll do things from like, like doing code review. So we'll go in and look at code repositories for the web application and try to determine if they're using certain things, do like dynamic analysis of the actual code that's running the application, try to identify vulnerabilities in the code that you might not get from the front end, or just behavior like that. um, do different things on, obviously, on the front end, like the fun injection testing for things like cross-site scripting, SQL injection, all the big injection based things.
Yeah.
And you also get I think this is definitely like an underrated piece, or maybe it's just like not talked about. And this is probably like applies a little bit to like the bug bounty community, because I feel like I'm on bug bounty Twitter a little bit, but I feel like you always see the bounties people report. They're like, I got SQL injection on this and it's $25,000 payout or whatever. I got cross-site scripting, and like those things definitely exist. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like the stuff that gets overlooked all the time is like authentication bugs and authorization bugs, and those also have like pretty crazy impacts. And it's just easy to translate that to like a real like raw business impact.
Hmm.
Being able to perform actions on behalf of another user, or just authenticate as another user. Just things that like people, I feel like, shy away from, that are also super impactful. But test for that stuff all the time as well. And that's the thing, is it just kind of depends what the client is. So you get to do a bunch of different kinds of work.
Yeah, so it's very dynamic, right? I also
Yeah.
work as a consultant, so I totally identify with what you're saying. But you said something very interesting. So sometimes you're doing like these code reviews, trying to find vulnerabilities on the code. That's like a very white box approach, right? I don't have a lot of
Yeah.
experience in those. Do you do a lot of those?
Yeah. So those highly depend on the client.
Hmm.
Sometimes you don't get like anything.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're like, here's the keys to the kingdom and you can look at anything you want.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends, because we've had, there could be a web app pen test where, they're the client, they're the one paying for it. And they might be like, I'm not even going to give you a user role inside the application. And
Hmm.
we just have a login page. If you can
Exactly.
gain access to it, then you can pen test the inside of it.
Hmm.
And then you have people that are obviously on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. Our philosophy there too,
Hmm.
that are like, you know what, I want to find anything and everything. So I do a fair bit of code review. The client that I was on for, the year, wanted a lot of that. That was very common. So I did quite a bit of that. It's interesting. It adds a different dynamic to the pen tests, and I honestly advocate for it now,
Yeah.
going into other tests, because I think it does. It's even helpful just if you elicit interesting behavior out of an application. It's nice to just be like, okay, well, what's actually triggering on the back end when I do that, and I can go and I can read the code and I can be like, okay, well, that's exactly why that's doing that. Maybe it's vulnerable, maybe it's not. But either way, it's adds a cool element to the pen testing experience for sure.
Yeah. So do you personally have like a preference between like the black box approach or the white box approach? Which one is more fun to you?
Oh, I think it's more fun when I pop something on a black box approach, like,
Yeah,
because
right?
you just don't know it's there. Like you can't see anything. You just
Yeah.
like throw a cross-site scripting payload in there and it hits, and you're like, oh yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, man, that feeling is undescribable. I
Oh, it is. It really
yeah.
is.
And when you do it like outside of a CTF kind of thing, when you do it like on the real assessment, it's so good, man. I don't know how to
Oh yeah.
explain that.
It is. It's like you're like, this is not supposed to be there. It's like, it's like when you do it in a lab, you're like, okay, I'm at least doing what they like put here on purpose. But then like if you do something like get an authentication bypass or something in the real world, you're like, oh man, this is not supposed to be here. This is cool.
Yeah, and like when you're just running through your methodology, and there are like those tests that you always do, and every application has already mitigated that issue for some reason, like for example, a very basic unrestricted file upload, for example. Then
Mhm.
you just upload like an executable file, and it accepts the file, and you were like, oh wow, what just happened?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
man.
those are fun too. Like apps that just have a lot of stuff wrong with them.
Yeah.
It's hard on the readout because that's the whole next portion of the job is you have to
Mhm.
be able to, explain what the vulnerabilities are, what the impact is to the business, why they need to care about it, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's really bad when it's just pervasive throughout the application. But man, is it fun to test.
Yeah, another one on web application penetration testing. So you talk and you told me that, well, there's a lot that you can do even only with penetration testing. Then you have red teaming, which is another how do you say that? Which is like a whole other beast, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
but the thing that I want to ask you is, within penetration testing, is there something that you still want to like delve deep and like really learn besides web application penetration testing?
I've been kind of going back and forth on that. I do like the idea of doing a little bit of net pen, or network
Mhm.
penetration tests, or maybe like internal penetration tests at some point. I have been really enjoying web applications, and the more I actually talk about it to people, the more I think I realize why.
Mhm.
I like all of the tech stacks and stuff in network penetration testing. I think it's like a very like um, clever discipline
Mhm.
to bypass all of these internal controls and things. The one thing that I always get back to is I'm like, the thing about web application penetration testing is these web apps are available to anybody with a smartphone,
Mhm.
just anybody with any kind of internet connected device. Network penetration tests, at least for the most part, it assumes you have like VPN access or you already have network access. And like internal penetration tests, they assume they're already inside the network. You're already inside a domain like that. So I like the idea of poking at something that anybody can poke at.
Mhm.
It's not like geographically isolated.
Got
It's
it.
just out there. So um, yeah, I,
Yeah.
I think that's so cool.
What about mobile penetration testing?
That is actually one that I'm super interested in,
Okay.
because
Gotcha.
mobile app. You did get me there. Mobile app. I've been super interested in that just because mobile apps so similar
Yeah.
to web applications. It's pretty much just like a wrapper around
Mhm.
it. So since they're so close, I know there's like there's some nuances to it for
Yeah.
sure. And I'm definitely not an expert on it, so I could totally be eating my words right now. But I have definitely been interested in mobile app for sure.
Yeah, the thing with me with mobile applications is the setup. Like you always lose
Yeah,
like the first day just trying to what is the version of the jailbreak that I need? I mean, this app is not running on
yeah,
this iPhone and this Android something something. Well, like once you get past that that struggle from the beginning, like the first setup that you need to like have the app running with burp and everything like set up. Once you go through that, man, it's amazing. It's like a web application, as you
oh yeah,
said. So it's very fun.
yeah. I've wanted to do it for a while. It seems super fun.
Yeah. So now, what is and this is more like a general question, not only specifically talking about web apps, but as far as a pen testing career goes, is it like what you expected it to be, or is it better? Like, I saw that you tweeted something a couple of months ago saying that they won working as a penetration tester. The internet was a mistake. So I'm curious to hear
Yeah.
your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, just like the go back to your original question too. I think that one of the biggest things that I try to like focus on, is the ability that it gives me to creatively think in my job.
Mhm.
I found previously that a lot of my tasks were like very like monotonous, or they kind of had like, it was very like, okay, is this or no? What I like a lot about penetration testing is I get to be creative
Mhm.
every single day, and it makes me think. It makes me solve problems, which is super cool. I definitely couldn't say that previously. So being able to creatively think and be challenged all the time is super awesome. And that's honestly one of the things that I love the most. I love the technical challenge and stuff like that, but just getting to be creative and try to think of things that people haven't thought of before is super, super cool to me. So I like that piece of it. I will say, commenting on that tweet, um, that was stemmed from just kind of realizing how much is out there.
Yeah.
You go and you're starting to learn about this stuff, and you're like, man, there's no way that there's no way that there's SQL injection out there. Like this looks so antiquated. Like there's just no way. And then like 3 days later, just SQL injection like that. And you're like, what? Like, how is this still a thing? And the crazy thing is it still exists today. It's everywhere. So it doesn't go away. It's the problems are very hard to mitigate, especially as you learn more about how like the internet works and how these applications communicate with each other. They're just so malleable and they're so trusting of users
Yeah.
that they're almost designed like people can't do what we do, but we can.
Yeah.
So it makes it scary. You get a whole newfound perspective of giving websites your information. You're like, okay, I'm trusting you with my information, maybe my like banking information potentially. Maybe it's like my credit card information if I'm paying you. Like, and then you go in on the flip side, and then you start pen testing some of these, either whether it's a business or just a standalone web app, and there's not as much attention to security as you would hope that there would be
Yeah.
in some cases. So it's a little scary, but at the same time, there's a lot of people doing a lot of really great things on like the research front, and what we do on a daily basis, report these vulnerabilities back to be fixed. So yeah, that's kind of where that tweet came from. But yeah, for sure, it is a great job, and I do like it a lot.
Yeah, it is. I agree. Now, you just mentioned the reporting phase. From 1 to 10, how fun do you do you scale that phase of the job, that part of the job?
Oh, you know, it's required. And you have to do it well, because that
It's
is
required.
it's required, and you have to do it well, whether you like to or not,
Yeah.
because it's just a reflection of how well you can articulate, once again, like the business impact, things like that, remediation,
Mhm.
just proof of concepts for what you did. It's not my favorite part. I don't think it's any pen tester's favorite part.
It's my
But
favorite part.
Is it your favorite part?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm sorry to interrupt you, but just
No, you're fine.
to
Go ahead.
yeah, just to go on those lines. Yeah, when I started, I remember that when I got my first opportunity to work with a team of penetration testers, the thing that I would do the most is read through other pen testers' reports, and I learned
Mm.
so much from it. And I was like, well, this is what a client wants to receive when we send them a report. They want to learn like what are they doing wrong and how can they fix things. And now
Yeah.
I'm reading these documents to learn how to perform these like techniques in the tags. But I also have to be able to explain how to properly mitigate all of these issues. And that's like the only way you're going to be able to provide value to your clients. And so it's not that I'm in love with the Microsoft Word thing and like getting everything well written. It's not that, but I just think that it's like such an important part of the job, that I kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
learn how to enjoy that process. Yeah, it's a weird thing, but I really enjoyed it. It's weird.
Yeah, that's good. If you enjoy that piece, then you're gonna enjoy everything. I
Exactly.
don't like despise it. Like it's part, it's part of the job.
Hmm.
You have to do it. Yeah, like I said, you have to do it well. Like you said, it's what provides the value
Hmm.
ultimately. Because you just pointing and saying there's SQL injection doesn't really give them any value other than the fact that you found it.
Yeah.
That's only like half of what they're paying you to do. So I've grown to like it. And I will say, like, it is a little bit of a shame that like the nature of what we do is so sensitive and like confidential between the two parties, because people could learn so much from reading those reports, like you said.
I agree.
Um, Honestly, you could, I mean, once you had like the theoretical knowledge of what the vulnerabilities were, you could go in and read a report and you could be like, wow, that's how they found that. That's like really
Exactly.
interesting. I wouldn't have known that. Like
Hmm.
it's it really is. I wish you could publish them. I mean, obviously you can't. Maybe like they could eventually like publish some old ones or something like that. But still on the same degree, it's still a little sensitive. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you are like if somebody's listening to this, you're a junior pen tester just getting into your role, I would ask like a manager or something if you can go in and like read an old report or get access to an old report for your company or one that you submitted to a client. You could learn a lot of cool stuff that way.
Yeah. I remember telling to my colleague, his name is also David, David Marks. And if he's watching this, he's going to laugh a lot because when I told him that, well, reporting is actually one of my favorite things about the job because I learn a lot. He was like, well, from this moment on, the only thing you're going to do is just write each other people's reports. So if you like it that much, well, there's a lot of reporting to do. And so
That's funny.
yeah, I didn't find that funny at all, but yeah, but yeah, man, that's amazing. Now let's talk a little bit about your journey as a content creator because you also have a fantastic YouTube channel. I'm subscribed, and I hope people will subscribe to you as well because we really want to reach that 4,000 subscribers goal. Now I know that less than a year ago you started posting videos on YouTube and you started doing these hack the box walkthroughs. And I would like to ask you, what made you want to start posting those types of videos, those tutorials, those walkthroughs on hack the box machines?
Yeah, so I think tied back slightly a little bit to my background where I came in like super green into the space. I came from a biology background. I had no idea what any of these technical things were. And I remember I had heard of like Hack the Box, and I actually started on Hack the Box all the way back in the day when you had to hack your way into the website. Like you had to hack the invite code,
Mm-hmm.
which was pretty funny, and that was actually hard too. um, and there wasn't a lot of fantastic information out there. It was a bunch of years back now, so that was all the way back when people like John Hammond were blowing up
Mm-hmm.
for the first time. And he obviously had fantastic content out
The
and he
goat.
still continues. Yeah, the GOAT. That man's awesome. But it was like kind of like right when IPsec started out too.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt so overwhelmed when I started out watching, like you said, like, IPSec just crazy smart, like super crazy smart. And you flip on one of these videos and all you see is a terminal, like four Tmux windows, and like it's got like VPN going in one corner, is taking notes, and Vim in the other corner. It's got like some like directory brute force going in the other window, and you're just like, what is happening? I am not following this.
What kind of
So
sorcery is this?
yeah, I was like, oh, what did I get myself into? This is crazy. I'm like, I had to Google for like 35 minutes, like how to set Tmux up. And this dude has like 17 windows. He's got like tabs renamed. He's got like 17 scans going on. It was craziness. So I think when I wanted to start, I really wanted to try to cater as much as I could to people like where I felt like I was at, which was, complete ground zero,
Mhm.
assuming no knowledge. So I felt like when I started to make the videos, I took videos that probably could have been 10 minutes, just kind of following a walkthrough guide and then making it into a video format. And I made it like 35 minutes or like 40 minutes. And that's like what a lot of my videos are, because I just felt like I needed to stop and think every time that I was talking. Like, well, what about somebody that was, trying to follow this with like next to no knowledge? Like,
Mhm.
maybe just really understands how to like poke around on the Linux command line, something along those lines. So that's really where I got like a lot of my inspiration to start making videos. And it's been a journey. It's crazy that it's really only been like a year at this
Mhm.
point, but I like, you learn a lot in a year. I actually recently saw one of my earlier videos that I
Oh my
posted, and I was
god.
like, oh
Don't do
geez,
that.
oh geez. They're brutal, but
Can you
there's been
watch
a lot of progress.
can you watch like your most watched video without like making like this? Oh my god.
Oh, I don't. I'm trying to think who it was on Twitter the other day. It might have been Caleb, who runs Studio Sec
Okay.
on
Yeah,
YouTube,
yeah.
and
I know who he
I
is.
think
Yeah.
he like quote tweeted something along the lines of, "I don't know a YouTube like creator that doesn't like cringe at their most viewed video."
Hmm.
And every time I go in my analytics, I'll be like, "Oh, I just spent so much time on this video. I chopped it up. Like it's got great like visual aid and just audio wise, it's great. Color grading's good. Like I'm super proud of it." And then I go back and I like looked at my like most played video and I'm like, oh my God, why? Like why? That is awful.
Yeah. Yeah, my most watched video is like a CYSA plus CompTIA certification guide, how to pass this exam kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the video is actually very valuable because I study a lot for that exam, and I really think that I understood what CompTIA was looking for someone who was trying to pass that exam. They were not trying to make you memorize stuff because the questions were like very real scenario based things, you know. Like you really
Right.
have to understand like why should I use this tool instead of the other one. It's not like a matter of remembering or memorizing acronyms or anything like that. So yeah, the content on the video is good, but like everything else is terrible. Like I've considered, should I just record it? And I had like the quarantine hairstyle like from COVID and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was man, the worst.
Oh, I might have to go watch it after
No,
this.
please don't. Now, one thing that I would like to ask you also about this content creation thing in cybersecurity is that I really struggle with this. Do you find yourself struggling with the idea that while you're like editing and creating all those videos and thumbnails and whatever, you're not actually investing time into becoming a better hacker or a pen tester? Because sometimes you think about that dilemma and it's like, wouldn't I be happier if I just focused on my thing, like on my craft, rather than like being too invested in sharing my experience and what I'm like learning and doing these walkthroughs? Because I look at some of the smartest people on our industry, and sometimes I see like these LinkedIn posts. So I just discovered 3 CVEs, or I just managed to get this OSEE certification or OSE3 certification. And I'm like, well, here I am recording Try Hack Me videos and like wasting time trying to color correct my thumbnails. Well, shouldn't I be just trying to be a better hacker? You know what I mean? Do you have like a
Yeah,
take on that?
yeah. I do. It might be like a little bit unpopular on it, but I think where like I drive the value out of it is I think especially in art industry, like in the tech industry, cybersecurity in general.
Mhm.
I think like we're very fortunate like
Mhm.
that. A job in cybersecurity is a fantastic job. It has great job security, no pun intended there,
Mhm.
and it's just a great industry to be in. And a lot of the times, like getting a job in this industry can, change people's lives. It could be an awesome career switch. So I find a lot of, value when I always think about that stuff, being like, if somebody watched my content and it was enough for them to land like an entry level job somewhere, or maybe like prep for an entry level cert, or even just to show like that they have demonstrated that they're actively trying to learn in their free time, and that's enough to get them a job. That's like super cool to me. And
Yeah.
personally, I think this is ultimately boils down to like a personal thing, because I've absolutely had the same thought. I'd be totally lying to you through my teeth right now if I told you I have not had that same exact thought that you just said out loud. But I think, and I kind of starting to transition to a little bit more of like this style role in my company anyways. But I think where I get the value out of it is just, helping people. So, being able to do what I love to do and pen test and, keep my craft sharp, but also help people. I don't necessarily have, I like to know that I can do these things and I can compete with the best in the industry at what I like to do. But I don't necessarily have, the mindset that I need to be the smartest in the industry. Sure, I could probably spend more time, just really honing down and going after like the OSWE and all these things that I'm probably prepared enough to take. But at the same time, I think I get more satisfaction out of like when I get a YouTube comment that's like, I found, like, maybe it was I found cross-site scripting today, and I found it because I watched this video and I understood it. Something like that like brings me so much more joy than if I were to just spend 120 hours like bunkering down, going for like the OSCE E3 or whatever it is, like that trifecta certification. So I think that's what it's like a big thing that I've realized over the course of creating these videos, and definitely like slowing my content down, and like really focusing on like where it's valuable. For a while I was like really focused on just kind of like trying to spam videos, especially at the beginning. And I think it's important to get a lot out there, but at the same time, I was like, going back to watching your old stuff again, I was like, man, what is this? Like, what was I posting on YouTube? Like, this is not worthwhile. So, just getting like that part out of it is really big for me.
Yeah, well, the alternative would be to ask for John Hammond's secret, because that guy, like, he's killing it at everything. Like, the guy is like public speaker, has all the certs in the world. He's killing with like great content, like pretty much every other day. I don't know how that guy manages life. I seriously don't know.
I still have not. I missed John at DEF CON. I was gonna meet up with John at DEF CON and chat for a little bit, but I ended up missing him. So since I've not officially met him yet, I'm still convinced that he is a robot. I don't think that he sleeps. There's no way that he sleeps.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy. I don't get how he gets done what he gets done.
Yeah, I had a very fun clip because I did the podcast with him as well. He was the second, the second guest, I think. And I was like asking, what's your secret, man? How do you manage your time? I mean, you must have like a Monster Energy sponsorship or something like that. And then he just like grabbed the can of Monster, and I was like, well, I sure do. Yeah, that was a funny clip. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was funny. Good. He's great, man. I love him. I'm so stoked to meet him once I had the opportunity to go to DEF CON or any other conference like that.
I've only heard good things.
Yeah, he's the man. He's the best. And I mean, when I invited him to the podcast, I had like 1,000 subscribers, or not even that. I can't even remember. But he was so like nice. He was like, yeah, of course, why not? And I was like, why not? Don't you have like anything more interesting to do? Like, you're busy all the time. You must have like so many stuff on your plate right now. But yeah, he was the man. Right. But now you just mentioned one very interesting thing that I was going to ask you about before, and I forgot. And it was about the OSWE. Have you considered doing it? Because that's like the certification for you, right?
Yeah, I actually have a lot, actually. I think I have so many like moving parts right now.
Hmm.
And I'm still, quite honestly, I'm still trying to boil down like exactly what I want to like really drill in on early next year. Whether that's, hone down and pump out more content on YouTube, if it's finish up this CPTS from Hack the Box, step back and into the OSCP that I very similarly had to step away from it for a little bit.
Hmm.
Which one that is, I haven't figured it out yet, but the OSWE was in that mix because
Hmm.
that's one that I'm like, you know what, I do this every day anyways, quite honestly. Like the only thing that I think I'd probably want to brush up on is like the code review piece
Hmm.
of that cert, just because I don't know how they like consider their code review.
Hmm.
But I've thought about it because I think I could go after it with very little like preparation. Probably like the lowest preparation of the other ones. So
Yeah.
it's been in the mix. It's been in the mix for sure.
Okay. Well, this might feel like a redundant question, but I was going to ask you after this. Like, we are approaching the end of the year, and do you
Yeah.
have like any not even goals, because goals like can change along the time and life happens and everything. But do you have like specific things that you would want to focus on from 2023 ahead?
Yeah, I think a couple of them. I tried to do like a goal list early in 2022 and then follow up on it.
Hmm.
But I don't know, they kind of get like jumbled in the mess of things.
Yeah, me
I,
too.
I definitely some of the big, yeah, it's hard to follow through on a lot of them. Yeah, I think a lot of the times too, you end up like, trying to shoot too high on the goals or whatever, and then if you don't hit it, you're like, oh man. But
Yeah.
um, either way, I've always been. I recently like kind of picked up on learning languages. I'm
Hmm.
very interested to like maybe add another language to the mix. So I'd love to maybe learn a new language in 2023 again. That would definitely be something that I think I would throw up there. Maybe read a couple more books. I've found I like doing that, so probably add that. And I think I honestly would. I've been leaning mostly towards kind of focusing a little bit more on my YouTube channel and like improving some of like those skills, just because it gives me such a different, like skill set and things that I don't do every
Yeah.
day. A lot of the certification stuff can feel like you're just working
Hmm.
after work sometimes. So I think really focusing on my YouTube and using my skills that I do at work while learning a different skill set is a little bit more of a healthy balance
Yeah.
for the mental sometimes. So probably I'd say like those three things are probably some big goals for 23.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you talking about learning Japanese? Because I saw a tweet that you wanted to learn more about that.
Yeah, I learned a pretty fair bit of
Okay,
Japanese.
that's awesome.
I liked it a lot. I'm actually planning on going in the spring this year or this
Okay,
upcoming year. So
yeah.
hopefully be useful. Obviously going to continue learning it because I don't get to use it in conversation every day.
Hmm.
So it's one of those things that it kind of goes away if you don't keep it sharp. But I'd love to learn more. I think as I learned Japanese,
Yeah,
I like definitely got like this appreciation for people that know many languages, because it's just really cool to be able to speak with people in different parts of the world
yeah.
in their own language and communicate like that. So I thought that's really cool. So I definitely want to add another one to the list,
Yeah,
although it can be really really hard.
yeah, that will be a challenge for me as well, because I moved to Denmark 2 or 3 months
Okay.
ago. Yeah, and well, I speak fluent Portuguese, of course, because I'm from Portugal, and my English is like, it's not broken English, but it's not like the best as well. But
English is great.
no, yeah, thank you. But yeah, man. When I started like learning the first words in Danish, like using the Duolingo stuff and everything, man, Danish is such a crazy language, man. Because
Sure.
yeah, a lot of the vowels like sound the same, and it's so hard to pronunciate. It's not even like hard to read or to, because it has similar things to English and to German. So yeah, you kind of like go around it, and I don't think it will be that difficult, at least to learn how to read it, you know. But like
Mm. Yeah.
trying to pronounce the words, it's so, it looks like they have marbles in the mouth while they talk. It's so yeah, man, it's very challenging, and but it's
Yeah.
definitely going to be something that I want to learn, because like being here, living here, it will be way better for me if I just learn the local language, even to learn more about the culture and everything. But
Yeah, that's a hard part. A lot of people don't think of is actually speaking it. It's one thing to like read it
yeah,
or hear it
yeah,
and be like, oh, I kind of get that, but then to like, speak it like
yeah,
fluently is that's
yeah.
a whole nother ball game.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I have, I think, two more questions for you. We are
Yeah.
closing in 1 hour, so yeah, that we are on time. Um, so I just want to make you a quick question. Like, if you could pick like one moment, one decision, what was like the best thing that you've done or that you haven't done in your cybersecurity career so far?
Probably switching to like my current job.
Okay.
So going from like the blue side to the red side. And again, that's not like general advice. Like if you're working a blue team job right now, like that's not just like
Yeah.
your job sucks. Mine is better. It was better for me. I'm gonna definitely specify that.
Yeah.
It was kind of changing jobs. I mean, you get it. You just recently did it, and you moved. That's a big decision, so you understand. But um, I had a great job, and switching jobs. I was just trying to follow like my heart, kind of, and it felt like a leap of faith because you leave a good job
Mhm.
for something that you don't know a lot about. It's hard to get like a lot of information on a company when you go to switch
Mhm.
companies or change jobs until you're there. It's almost like kind of retrospective once you really learn, but yeah, I definitely made a great decision switching. I've been surrounded by a lot of, very smart people that I get to learn from on a daily basis and be supported by,
Mhm.
and get to do some really, cool and unique things with my career where I'm at. So definitely very, very grateful for that.
Wow, that's awesome. And do you have like just one thing that you kind of regret a bit, that you should have like done earlier, something that you should have done differently, anything?
Oh, probably I would say I spent a lot of time kind of under the assumption that like hacking is like network pen testing,
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of like that. So I spent a lot of time focused on like that specifically, and
Mm-hmm.
it definitely, I mean, it served me great. That I still use a lot of that information, and kind of similar with CTFs, but it took me a while to break the CTF like mindset. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like when
Yeah.
you're doing like actual pen tests, you it's like you're being removed from the okay, I found this, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you don't get that same like acknowledgement when you go through. So it definitely took me a while to adjust from that. So I think I might have overdone it on the CTF front, but
Yeah,
but yeah.
I totally get what you're saying, because it's different, right? It's different. It's a different thing. And I know a lot of people that actually still recommend doing CTFs, because I mean it's very stimulating for you. You always
Mhm.
learn new things. But yeah, when you're actually on the job, on a real life scenario thing, it's different. The adrenaline that you feel when you find something, it's different. When you go through that like stage, let's say you're on the 2 week assessment, and you're like on week 2, day number 3, and you didn't find anything, and you're panicking because there must have like I have to find something, right?
Yeah.
It's impossible that this is 100% secure, and sometimes you can't, because like there's time restrictions, there's access
Mm.
restrictions, and you have to prioritize certain like things that the client wants you to focus on, but you kind of know that maybe if I explore more down this path, I would find something. Well, it's so different, right? Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. The scoping piece of an
exactly.
actual pen test hits is very, very different.
Yeah. Now, the final one. I have a question for you, which
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember because it's the second time that we're recording this. Because this question was created by the previous guest, Ryan. Um,
Okay.
you don't remember?
I don't know if I remember.
Okay, that's nice.
Okay.
and
It's probably for the better.
oh yeah, and after that, I'm going to ask you to create a new question for the next guest. Okay.
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 So the question for you that Ryan wanted to ask you is, what is the grossest food you've ever eaten?
Oh, I can go with like a pretty default answer, but Hmm. Oh, I do think I know. I had somebody try to suggest me. I was in Florida, so
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that has any significance, but I was in Florida and we're at like some restaurant and they had like fried frog legs. Um, and
Oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah. And they're like, yeah, it tastes like chicken. And I was like, no way. And I tried it and it did not taste like
Yeah, that
chicken.
was a prank.
It was a prank. I'm convinced I got pranked. It was pretty gross.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, what do you want to ask to the next guest? Take your time. Take your time. That's okay.
Oh geez. Okay. How about let's see, what would be a good conversation starter? Maybe like what would be the next guest's favorite or like all-time favorite movie
Okay, that's
or
nice.
TV show? Either or. Either or.
Okay, that's a hard one, right?
Yeah.
The one
I
that
like it. Make them think.
yeah, the one that Ryan got was actually one of my favorites so far. It was like, what's your favorite character?
Ooh,
That's a hard one, right?
that
Especially if
is
you
hard.
watch a lot of anime, if you watch a lot of movies, like that's a hard one. And he chose Gandalf, which I loved, by the way.
Did he really?
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting choice. I
yeah.
respect it though.
You know why? Because and the explanation was spot on because like Gandalf is so powerful and he chooses to use his powers for good. That's like a penetration tester all life like resume on there. um,
That's a good answer. I like it.
yeah, like just think about it. When Gandalf refuses to use the ring, it's like he has this 0 day that he could use like to do bad things, and he just no, I don't want it.
Fair.
Yeah,
Fair.
that was a nice one. Yeah, Ryan is the best man. You should get in touch with him. He's great, and he's from the
I
US as
think I
well.
need to.
Yeah,
Oh, do you know what like what general part?
I don't remember actually. I don't remember. Yeah, but he's a
Either way,
great guy.
yeah, I'll have to get in touch for
Do you
sure.
know who Graham Helton is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he was the one that got me in touch with Ryan because they work together.
Okay.
So maybe they
Oh, okay.
live close to each other. I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
If they're in the US, maybe do like DEF CON
Yeah,
meetup or
you're
something
going to
like
see
that
them
for
on
sure.
DEF CON. Yeah, at DEF CON for sure.
Yeah.
Well, man, that's pretty much it. I just want to thank you for doing this for the second time, and you're amazing. It
Oh,
was.
no worries.
I was so devastated when I saw that the file got corrupted, but I really hope that this time things just work out just fine.
That's okay. Thank you for having me on. It's always a blast to come back and
Yeah.
chat and just get to talk for a little bit.
Yeah, man,
For
it was
sure.
a pleasure for me as well. Really looking forward for maybe a round two in a couple of months. That would be amazing. And
Yeah.
man, we have to do something together. We have to make a video or something. That would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll have to. Maybe we could even do what you got, like all the advent of cyber and stuff to make a guest appearance or something like
Absolutely,
that.
man. Yeah, let's do it together. It's actually being super fun to do those walkthroughs. Today, yeah, we had some like malicious document analysis with CyberChef, and we were looking like for these specific strings with suspicious domains. It was very fun actually.
Okay.
And
That's
everything is
cool.
so well explained, like in so detailed. It's yeah, Try Hack Me is crushing it. They had a
Yeah.
problem with their task progress, like everyone's task got reset, so everyone lost
Oh.
their answers like all of a sudden. I didn't get that problem, but a lot of people were talking
Oh.
about that on Twitter. Yeah, but TryHackMe was on top of it and just got it sorted out. So yeah, all good. But yeah, man, that's a good idea. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down. Let's get it on. We can chat about it
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah, for sure, man. So let me just thank you guys for listening as well. Thank you guys for watching this podcast. Again, make sure you go to Jake's channel and you subscribe because he's just closing on 4,000 subscribers. Let's help him reach that goal. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.